Scott Anthony
believes innovation is more than a buzzword.
It's a discipline.
It's a discipline.
The co-founder
and managing partner of
a
InnoSight,
consulting
and investment company that focuses on strategic transformation, disruptive change, and business model innovation.
He leads its
Asian consulting operations
venture capital investment activity. Between Boston and Singapore. He addresses the growing need for companies to anticipate disruption better in their industries and create transformative strategies for renewal. Ladies and gentlemen, the managing partner of InnoSight, Mr. Scott Anthony.
So close to being a great introduction, but good afternoon, everyone. You're going to get to see me present twice today. I'm going to give you 10 minutes of thoughts about an unbelievably broad topic, innovation in the future now. Then I'll come back in just a little bit to talk about how you actually can go and drive innovation. So to start talking about the future, I want to go back in the past. I want to tell you a story that occurred a couple years ago. My wife and I were looking around for a Christmas present for our almost now 8-year-old daughter, Holly. Now, my wife made an observation. She said, every time you're at home working on your laptop, Holly likes to sit on your knee and type along with you. If you ever get an email from me with typos, it's Holly's fault, I swear, it's not mine. My wife said, why don't we get her something that looks like a laptop so we can encourage this behavior so that when she enters the workforce in 20 years, she'll be that much more prepared for it. My wife always thinks ahead. So we went and we got her a Dora the Explorer laptop pictured here. Now, I won't give much product advice today, but for parents in the room, here's one piece of advice. Do not buy a Dora the Explorer laptop. It is one of the world's most irritating products. But Holly likes her Dora the Explorer laptop. She's outgrown it, but she still takes it out every once in a while to play with it. But as I've watched Holly grow over the last couple years, I've observed that the way she is consuming what we call computing is radically different from a laptop. You might see her on the couch on our Apple iPad, watching obsessively every single YouTube video ever created about My Little Pony. Or you might see her using our Microsoft Kinect system, doing this to box, doing this to play tennis, dancing and interacting without pressing anything at all. As I watched these behaviors, I recently said to my wife, you know, I don't know what Holly will be doing in 20 years when she's in the workforce, but I am sure it will not be using a laptop. The dominant form of computing today will not be the dominant form tomorrow. Will it be brainwaves? Will it be wearables? Will it be habit? Who knows? But innovation is changing everything. It's transforming the way that we work, live, play, communicate, raise our children, participate in society. It is the most important thing for all of us to understand. Now, our organization was founded by Dr. Clayton Christensen of the Harvard Business School, the guy who coined the term disruptive innovation, first in a Harvard Business Review article 20 years ago. So not surprisingly, we are obsessed with tracking the underlying trends that have massive disruptive potential. We're watching 5 most closely. The first is what you might call the rise of robots and drones. I saw the Toshiba robot downstairs. It terrified me. But in more serious things, you see here a picture of the Amazon drone. Amazon, Alibaba, and a number of other people are working on technologies to allow drone-based delivery of packages. Amazon is a relentlessly innovative company. It recently filed a patent for predictive delivery. That is, they can predict something that you're going to order before you order it. Can they read your mind? I don't think so. What they do is use big data analytics to begin shipping things statistically to an area and then write the label as something is in the truck or on the drone. Second trend that we're watching closely, additive manufacturing, 3D printing. The woman pictured here, Grace Choi, founded a company called Mink. This allows you to custom create makeup of any color or tone. Now, this company might not succeed, who knows? But when you combine together drone-based delivery and additive manufacturing, if you are in a business that involves making stuff or distributing stuff, your world is going to change. Third trend that we're watching that you heard discussed in just a couple discussions ago, what sometimes gets called wearable technology, pervasive computing, Internet of Things, the disappearance of computing into everything. What you see pictured here is the Magic Band that Disney has rolled out at some of its theme parks. This allows Disney to do an even better job of one of the world's most beautiful business models. You go into a theme park, Disney picks you up by your ankles, turns you upside down, shakes all the money out of your pockets, and you leave with a big smile on your face. The reason why Disney is able to do this even better with the Magic Band is because they can use big data analytics. I call the fourth trend here the science of life, the quantified self, whatever you want to call it. We have more robust information that allows us to more scientifically make decisions than ever before. You heard about wearables. This is an output from my Fitbit. I wear this religiously. You can see the output here. I had a pretty good walking day, not such a good sleeping day, 4.5 hours here, because I was worried about the fifth trend. Yes, even management consultants have to worry about being disrupted. The fifth trend is everything as a service. You heard from Uber before, the world's largest transportation company owns no cars. The world's largest hotel operators, Airbnb, has no hotel rooms. Everything is being turned into an on-demand service, including nerds. Instead of paying for a consulting company like ours, you can rent a nerd for an hour, or maybe even longer than that. When you start seeing these trends come together into things like Google's autonomous car, which you heard about from the last speaker, you need to think not just about the immediate effect. Yeah, if you're Toyota or Volkswagen, you got to think about this. But you need to think about the second and third order effect as well. Cars are built to protect human beings from accidents. What happens when cars don't crash? You use very different materials, which changes the fuel economy radically. What happens when cars don't speed? A Google car was recently pulled over in California with a police officer threatening to give a ticket because it was driving too safely. When cars don't speed anymore and you're a local government that depends on revenues from speeding tickets, what do you do? What do you do when 60% of your space in urban areas, we heard before, is parking lots and you don't need those anymore? What if you're in auto insurance? All of these are industries that are going to get affected as this disruptive change continues to go through many parts of the market. We have to think about employment as well. This chart is from The Economist. In 15 different US states, the #1 search for employer term is UPS. People driving trucks. When you have 1 million truck drivers in the US put out of business by robots, what do we do from a policy perspective? These are complicated issues. It's not just the first, but the second and third order that matter. So what do you do to own your future rather than be disrupted by it? I'm going to give you 3 tips now, and then I will come back later today to give you a bit more guidance about how to innovate. The first thing is to simplify. Try and make it simpler and easier for people to do the things they were already trying to do. Rather than hope and pray, they will prioritize something that honestly did not historically matter to them. The picture here is Mint.com. A couple entrepreneurs founded this in 2007. There are a few people who will laboriously go and create budgets and manage their checkbooks, but that's not what most people want to do. They want to make sure they've got enough cash to make payments. They would love to save money, and Mint made this incredibly simple. 2 years after being formed, it was acquired by Quicken, a software company, for $170 million. 6 years after that, this year, Quicken announced it's going to sell, Intuit announced it's going to sell off Quicken, its flagship software product, and make Mint.com the core of what it's trying to do. This is what great innovators do. They take complicated things and make them simple. Now, this doesn't mean it is easy to do this. The second component is to enable that simplification, often through a very sophisticated technology. I think Uber is a great example of this. From a consumer perspective, I saw a number of you raise your hand saying that you knew or had used Uber. A number of you commented saying how great the service is. It is great from a consumer perspective. But behind that simplification is a very sophisticated set of technologies that allows Uber to scale and drive in ways that it couldn't otherwise. The third thing great innovators do is they disrupt. And when I use the word here, I use it in the classic Clayton Christensen sense. That is, they do what the market leader doesn't want to do or doesn't find in its best interest to do. Airbnb, the room-sharing platform, is a great example of this. The company is founded in 2008. Imagine you worked for Marriott or Starwood at the time, and you pitched this idea. We're going to let strangers come into people's places and sleep on their couch or sleep in their spare room. It sounds like a crazy idea. The market leaders don't have any interest in it. They're running good businesses that are doing pretty well, so they ignore Airbnb for years. How do they finally respond? Well, those two companies, Marriott and Starwood, just announced today they're going to merge and become even bigger. Airbnb follows a classically disruptive approach, doing what the market leader doesn't want to do, and it's created a big growth platform in a very capital efficient way. It's an older company than Uber, but it has raised or needed to raise only 1/3 of the money that Uber has raised. Uber's a great company, a great service, but it has gone squarely after a market that matters to a lot of people, and because of that, it's had to spend and fight for every single inch that it's gotten. When you go in the direction the market leader doesn't want to go, things look very different. I can't tell you exactly what the future is going to look like. I can't make predictions about the future. We can point out some of the underlying trends. We can point out some of the past patterns. But I think you always need to remember the guidance in different words from the three individuals pictured here: Abe Lincoln, Peter Drucker, and Alan Kay. The best way to predict the future, as always, is to create or invent it. We have got some great big problems in the world today. We got to feed 10 billion people. We've got to get healthcare and education to hundreds of millions of people who can't access it. We have to deal with climate change. We have to deal with income inequality. We have to contemplate a Donald Trump presidency. We need the best innovation energy in the world focused on these sorts of problems. I think it's nice that we have ever more reliable ways to provide second-by-second updates about what we're doing and target advertisement towards us. Those are good things too. But we really need innovators to rise to the challenge that we as a global community face. So good luck, and I'll be back with you in just a little bit longer. Thank you very much.